Hi there guys, Sam here. Welcome to another video where I go through the top 5 reasons why you should buy a Golf R over a Golf GTI. So yeah, I'll get straight into the video really. So yeah, it's a question I kind of always ask myself, and I think a lot of you guys do as well, big VW fans. And being a Mark 7 Golf R owner, I've always sort of wondered, why you would go for a GTI. And the weird thing is a GTI was something that I was looking at as well. But these kind of 5 reasons is kind of why I went against it and why I did actually go for a Golf R. But also reasons that can help you guys out as well, big time. So yeah, let's get straight into those 5 points. So yes, if you're not familiar with what a Golf R looks like, here's one shown on screen. So that's a Mark 8 Golf R, soon to be released. And this kind of comparison kind of relates to kind of all of them, if I'm honest with you, particularly from the Mark 7 and up. And the next kind of question is the Golf GTI, hit shown here in Mark 8 guys, also being tested, looking great, and yeah, again, looking forward to seeing them coming out. So here are my top 5 reasons why you should buy a Golf R instead of a Golf GTI. So number 1 is price. In truth, there's actually not that much in it. And due to the sort of like the heritage and the desirability of the GTI badge, it actually keeps premiums quite high. Now that's good for residuals for current owners, but actually quite difficult for people who want to get into that kind of car. For example, for me, my Mark 7 Golf R on a 2017 plate is not actually too much difference in price to an equivalent GTI, which is always a bit of a strange one. I think if there was a bigger price gap between it, I think you could justify it in some ways. And in fact, in most cases, particularly on the used market now for the Mark 7s, the Golf R is actually the cheaper car to buy. And I think that's a lot to do with sort of the perceived running costs of the car. People seem to think that because it's a Golf R, because it's got four-wheel drive, because it's got all of these things, it's more complicated and more costly to kind of run. But in truth, they both have the same engines, just in different guise of tune. And the only thing the four-wheel drive system actually means is every 3 years you have to have a Haldex service. And to be honest with you, an extra, even if it's an extra £100 on your bill, it's not exactly the end of the world. So that's always sort of like a perceived thing. And something, to be fair, before I kind of got more into the VW brand a couple of years ago, I would have said go for the GTI because it's of the heritage and because of the price. But now there's no real price in between it, and the R is building up its heritage. Really, it's getting its name for itself. Particularly when you look at like the IDR and how they are eventually going to go all sort of like electric, and that's the way things are now. So number 2 is the performance. Now it doesn't matter what variant you get, whether you get a manual or a DSG, GTI or an R, the Golf R is the quicker car. It's got a lot more performance, it can put its power down better, it's got 300 brake horsepower, equivalent base GTI has 245 brake horsepower. That's actually in performance pack, guys. And yeah, in sort of standard tune, it is the quicker car. So yeah, just on performance, that's the second reason. The third reason is actually because of how the Golf R is actually quite discreet and quite an under-the-radar car compared to the GTI. Now, a lot of people go for these kind of cars because they are under the radar, and that's why people love the GTI and they've loved the heritage of it over so many decades of it being out and on sale. And they like that sort of imageless ability to have a car that you can enjoy daily and is a great little performance hatch as well. But actually the Golf R is slightly the more discreet car. Now I love my car spotting, I love my cars, and honestly whenever a Golf R goes past, and even today, it's hard to tell between a normal Golf and a Golf R. It really is. That you've got R lines which kind of make it a little bit more harder to kind of tell between the two. With the GTI, I tend to spot it a little bit easier. Now that's a lot of because of how they've got normally sort of like the red striping at the front, the red GTI badge. They tend to have sort of like tartan interior as well. They just have a little bit more cues that stand out, and are a little bit more brighter actually. Whereas the Golf R tends to be quite grey. Its badge is in grey. It tends to be all either silver and black trim. It doesn't really shout about itself, and if it wasn't for the 4 exhausts, you really wouldn't know it was anything at all. And I think that's always quite a good point. So between the two, the R is the more discreet car, and that's my third reason. The fourth reason is the four-wheel drive system. Now for me that just means you get better efficiency of the power, you get to utilize more of the power more of the time, and it's genuinely useful in day-to-day normal road driving, particularly in the wet weather that we normally get in the UK. I genuinely found it really useful and really safe and secure, even if you're just on normal sort of, well, decent performance summer tyres like Michelin Pilot Sport 4s that I have. It really makes the car safe and secure, and it really does enable you to get the maximum out of the car. At the end of the day, front-wheel drive cars, they will spin their wheels if they've got too much power. Fiesta ST does it all the time. GTI is no exception really, and even more so as you go up the sort of the GTI train to like the likes of TCRs and Club Sports. So yeah, that's my fourth reason. My fifth and final reason is that the R is the top of the range in VW's mind. It's where VW put all their expertise and marketing skills into the R. Now I say marketing because it is marketed in a way that, you know, the most power, the most you can get, the best sort of tools in the business. Whereas the GTI has ultimately always been limited back not to step on the R's toes. Also included that for people who are a bit of a bad snobbery would want the top of the range, the R kind of does have that. But more importantly to me is that it means that the GTI could be a lot better than it actually is, but the VW limit it back because of the R, just because that's where they need to get the sales. They need to have that little gap in sort of performance and everything. So for me, it being the top of the range means you get the best product from the manufacturer, and that's always a good thing in my mind. So those are my 5 reasons. Overall, I would love to stress that I love both cars. I think they're both fantastic, and I had a lot of debate over getting a GTI as well when I was sort of looking for a car 3 years ago, and I obviously settled with my Mark 7 Golf R, as most of you long-term subscribers would know. But it does make it quite a hard proposition to get to. You know, it would be quite nice to have a GTI sort of maybe alongside the R, but in truth, the ones that I kind of look for to be more expensive, to be underpowered, to have, you know, looking at all those points that I've kind of mentioned, makes it quite difficult to go for. The one thing you could say on your side is that there seemingly now is less GTIs on the road than there are Rs. So yeah, it could be that more unique prospect if you wanted to look at a positive. But yeah, those are my reasons. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments on those. And I really hope you found the video useful. But yeah, have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Cheers, guys.